What's up, everyone? Thank you for being here on this beautiful Sunday morning. This is The Sweat presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook, and I'm your host, Jesse Cofield. I got a motley crew here with me this morning to deliver a ton of knowledge for you guys. We've got DraftKings contributors Julian Edlow, Steve Buchanan, VSiN's Josh Applebaum. Fellas, thank you for being here. So over the next half an hour, like I said, we're going to deliver a lot of sports betting goodness for all of you at home. Week 5 slate, and we like to start off our show with our analysts' best bets for the week. But in the spirit of competition, let's take a look at how they've fared thus far on the season. Steve, you're 3-0. Let's go, buddy. So last week you took Philly minus 6.5. You nailed that one. They took down the Jags 29-21. Josh, you're 2-1. You took Tampa Bay on the money line.
Brady let me down, Jesse.
I know. They got beat 41-31 by the Chiefs. That was painful. Julian, you're now 2-2. So
yes.
You got into the win column. You took the Giants. Minus 2.5, easily cashed. They put up 20 on the Bears, only getting 12. And Reed obviously isn't here. He's only 1-1. Okay, so Steve, here is your chance to stay in the W column. Okay. Josh, it's going to be your chance at redemption. Steve, you're taking the 49ers minus 6.5. Does that have anything to do with the fact that the Panthers offense ranks dead last in total yards per game?
Oh, they've been absolutely brutal. It's awful. Any offense run by Baker Mayfield is going to have obviously some issues here. I mean, they're currently ranked second in DVOA offensively. That's only only in front of the Colts. And if you've watched the Colts, I mean, they're not doing anything offensively there either. But I mean, this team has just been so incredibly bad to start the season thus far here. I mean, Baker Mayfield averaging just 186 passing yards per game, 6.3 yards per attempt, and a 54.2% completion rate. I think I might be able to get up to 55. I think I might be able to get there if I'm playing in the NFL. We'll put that in for another day. But the 49ers just not letting up anything offensively. They're allowing an average of just 189 passing yards per game. And then we have the matchup here. Nick Bosa going to be lined up against Ikem Ekwonu, obviously the first-round pick for this year. He's already allowed 3 sacks and 10 pressures. Baker Mayfield does not deal with pressure well. He's going to have a ton of that here against the 49ers. I really don't see how the Panthers are going to move the ball in this game. So give me the 49ers minus 6.5 here against Panthers.
All right, Jules, you like a Niners-Chiefs moneyline parlay. Explain yourself.
Yeah, obviously I'm down with Steve's pick there. Makes a lot of sense. Don't need to add much analysis to that. I would expect, this Niners defense against this Panthers offense is one of the biggest mismatches in terms of 2 units on the field that we're going to see this season. So I'm all about the Niners getting that road win, and I'm going to moneyline parlay it with the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. I think the Chiefs are hitting their stride. We got the Raiders coming in for a divisional game. Mahomes puts up points in these situations. He blew the Raiders out twice last season. I think we're going to see that continue with some poor coaching so far from Josh McDaniels on the Monday night primetime road game at Arrowhead. And I'm putting the reason I'm putting these together in a money line parlay, you're getting it minus 123 right now on DK Sportsbook. A 6-point tease, which we generally do, is minus 120. You would lose on a push. So if Kansas City happened to win by 1, that bet would lose. So I'm going to lay 3 cents of extra juice just to avoid that situation. So just a little note there when you're making these type of bets, when you're teasing, parlaying, look at the odds, compare them, and find what you like best.
Love that expert knowledge.
Thank you, Jesse.
Josh, you're rolling with the Browns +2, rolling with a dog. Now, you are a trends guy, okay? And the underdog is 7-1 against the spread in the last 8 meetings between these two.
Yeah, and I hope that continues, Jesse. I'm going with the dog here. Dogs have been great this year, 39-25 against the spread overall, 61%. What I like are the gross dogs that still see line movement in their favor. So this one jumped out to me, kind of an ultimate buy low, sell high play here because you have the Chargers coming off a win in a cover against Houston. Cleveland lost as a short 1-point favorite at Atlanta. And what you've seen from this line move is actually, you go back a few days ago, Jesse, this was Chargers -3. Now we're all the way down to Chargers -2. I see some shops that even touched 1.5 here. So why is the line going to Cleveland if you have a big majority of bets right now at DraftKings, over 70% taking Justin Herbert here? So we have a reverse line move toward Cleveland, a couple system matches, a dog who missed the playoffs last year. If you fall in that spot, the public kind of says, hey, you missed the playoffs, you're not a very good team. But if you actually bet on those teams this year, they're 29-14 against the spread, 67%. And dogs that don't cover the previous week, the dogs that you're mad at because they either cost you money or you bet against them, and you're just going to continue to bet against them, they're 15-4 against the spread. Really like the Cleveland running offense here against the Chargers, who are tough, not a very good defense against the rush. Also, a West Coast team going east for a 1 o'clock game. Sometimes that's a fade spot. It screws up your body clock. Maybe you have a slow start here. So give me the Cleveland Browns +2.
Steve, Jules, any quick reaction to taking the Browns?
I do like the Browns. I'm either going to
okay.
take the Browns. I'm either going to take Nick Chubb anytime touchdown score or Nick Chubb yards. The Chargers have been awful against the run, and Chubb has been fantastic this season. I think the Browns are going to run all over the Chargers here.
Steve, 3 for 3. Do we concur?
I actually don't mind using the Browns in a teaser, getting up to +8 there, so you're obviously getting through the key number there, so getting them through over a possession. So I think the Browns are a nice teaser play this week.
All right, sit tight, you three, because after this, we're getting into some news and storylines that may be causing you guys to sweat a little bit. Could it be Kenny Pickett getting his first nodding start for the Steelers? We're going to find out when the Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, returns. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and this week, new customers can bet $5 on any team and pocket $200 in free bets if their moneyline bet wins. Download the app and use promo code SWEAT when you sign up. Welcome back to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Jesse Cofield. DraftKings contributors Steve Buchanan and Julian Edlow are standing by to tell us what they're sweating this week. Obviously, every week there's injuries, trends, maybe some narrative street storylines that have people sweating, second-guessing their picks. So we're going to get into that right now. Steve, the league's only remaining undefeated team, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're on the road at the Cardinals. You can get plus 200 odds that Arizona will be the first team to beat Philly. But are you really sweating the Eagles dropping their first one against Kyler Murray and co? Like, how are you approaching this game?
Yeah, that's not going to happen here against the Cardinals. Do you know how many points the Cardinals have scored in the first quarter all season long?
Maybe 0, because I know how many they've scored in the first half, which was going to be my stat.
Yeah, it is 0. The Cardinals have been coming out of these games extremely slow here. Now we have one of the fastest-paced teams in the league, one of the best offenses in the league thus far here. And for a team that's struggling to score like the Cardinals, they're going up against a very, very strong secondary like the Eagles here. The Cardinals allowing an average of just under 26 points per game. So I'm not looking for the Cardinals to get a win here to kind of shock everybody here as plus 200 to beat this team for the first time here. I think the Eagles continue to roll, go 5-0 after this week.
Yeah, the Cardinals are looking like kind of a sharp dog. They're getting some bets at 5.5, and this could be one of those games that, Philly started the season, 3-point win at Detroit. They win the game, they don't cover. This isn't a spot that I would lay the 5.5 with the Eagles, but I will take the Eagles to win the game. I don't think this is going to be their first loss of the season. And Steve, you mentioned the slow starts from Arizona. Arizona is averaging 4 points per game in the first half this season. They have 16 total first half points. Philly's been getting off to fast starts. I like the Eagles -3 in the first half. That's how I would bet the game.
Yep.
All right, guys, the good news is that Kenny Pickett gets the first start of his career. The bad news is that it's against the Bills. The worst news, this game is in Buffalo. All right, not good, not good. Jules, his passing yards prop is set at 203.5 on the DK Sportsbook. Is there a way to target this game that could bring some value here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. The good news if you're in Buffalo, I guess, good wings. You know, Steve was stuffing his face with wings on the show last week. We could add an over/under on that. I'm not going to touch any Kenny Pickett over/unders in this game. It's a tough spot for a first start. I will say this is a down spot for Buffalo. I don't mind the 14 points with the Steelers. Buffalo comes off that big comeback in Baltimore. Do you know who's next week for Buffalo?
I don't.
Kansas City on the schedule next week. It's in between two huge games, and you're at home. You have no tape really on Pickett, other than when he was thrown into the mix last week. I think Pickett may surprise. I just think the yards are going to be a little bit too much to ask for.
Yeah, I think actually you can look at George Pickens' reception prop in this one here. Over 3.5. You're getting plus money on that one at plus 110 here. Pickens had 4 receptions once Kenny Pickett came into this game. Look at the matchup in coverage. Not the best matchup here because obviously Buffalo's secondary has been elite, but going up against Dane Jackson, who's allowed 9 reception on 15 targets for 67 yards. So while the yards haven't been there, it's given up a 60% reception rate to opposing receivers here. So while I don't love this spot for Pickett, it's very clear who his rapport has been with when he's on the field. Going to George Pickens here, getting the plus money on the over there to get at least 4 receptions. I think that's a play to get some value in this one.
All right, guys, we are going to stick with the quarterbacks. Interesting quarterback situations this week, right? Tua's out in Miami. Mac Jones and Jameis Winston both banged up, both listed as doubtful. So are you going to be fading all these games, Steve, with quarterback instability?
I mean, we talk about the instability at the quarterback position, but the Dolphins literally have probably one of the better backups in the league with Teddy Bridgewater. I know
the most stable against the spread quarterback that you could ask for.
24-6 against the spread as a starter. That's why they call
as a starter on the road.
Correct. That's why. Excuse me. Yeah, correct. That's why they call him
Teddy covers.
That's right. So if you're going to talk about somebody who's going to step in for a betting purpose, there's no one more solid than Teddy Bridgewater in this matchup here against the Jets. So I like him there. Obviously, with the Saints and the Patriots, just staying away from both of those here. Andy Dalton was fine last week, to be fair, but don't love the matchup here this week. And then obviously Zappy Fever, the next Tom Brady, some will say, in for the Patriots. Just staying away from that one there. I know it was kind of one of those just coming in on the adrenaline, getting it going here. Let's see how he looks through a full game before we start getting all excited here. Don't love the Patriots offense at all, except for Damian Harris and Stevenson, but that's where I'm kind of staying with these games.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Teddy Bridgewater. I think if you're going to get the Dolphins at -3, that's a play for me against the Jets. We just talked about a down spot for Buffalo. The Jets off these wins, you know, they had no business beating the Browns. They let down after. Now they get another win that it seemed like Pittsburgh had that one at home in the bag, and the Jets pull another one out. I like the spot for Miami. Miami also had the Thursday night game, so they have more time to get Bridgewater prepared as if he wasn't already. He's a vet. I think that Miami's fine in that game. Both dinged-up receivers are playing. For the Patriots, I think the Mac Jones injury with this matchup against the Lions has more to do with the running backs, but we'll get to that in the show when we talk about more injuries. Saints, I just can't touch these teams coming off the London game and then returning to play the next week, so nothing there for me.
All right, good stuff, guys. Quick break for you here because coming up next, I will be joined by friend of the program, Ross Tucker. Does he think Cooper Rush can keep his Hollywood story alive against the Rams? We'll find out. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and this week, new customers can bet $5 on any team and pocket $200 in free bets if their moneyline bet wins. Download the app and use promo code SWEAT when you sign up. Welcome back to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Jesse Cofield, and I'm joined now by former NFL lineman, broadcaster, podcaster, friend of the program, Ross Tucker. Ross, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, Jesse. Love talking with you. What do you got for me?
All right, well, it's Tucker's Takes time, so we're going to break down the Sunday slate from your perspective, right? Guys talked earlier in the show about the Eagles trying to keep their unbeaten record intact in Arizona. Obviously, so much of the attention on this one has been on Jalen Hurts' offense. The great defensive effort on the other side of the ball. But Miles Sanders, he's been like a nice surprise for Philly this year. So he's third in the league in rushing, 356 yards on the ground. That is the most yards through 4 games he's ever had in his NFL career. He is on pace for over 1,500 yards, right? That would double his career high of 867 in 2020. So Ross, I mean, as somebody who keeps a close eye on the Eagles, how can you overstate rather how important Sanders is to this Eagles offense?
No, I don't think so. You know, he's been a good player his first 3 years, kind of up and down a little bit, Jesse, but this year he's put it all together. And I don't know if it's because it's a contract year or because Jalen Hurts and the passing game have opened things up for him, but he has been outstanding. I mean, he has been an elite runner this year. He's done well getting the ball out of the backfield as well, especially late in games. I mean, they've had a lead in all these games in the fourth quarter, and he's still been able to churn out first downs to get some big runs. It is not easy to be able to run the football late in games when the other team knows you're going to do it, which makes his yards per carry even more impressive than it already is.
All right, Ross, let's move to the next game. Cowboys travel to LA, taking on a Rams team that did not look good against the 49ers. So Rams are 5.5-point favorites at home, but do you like Cooper Rush and company with the points this week? Now, Rush's hot start aside, right? We saw the Rams held without a touchdown on the road in week 4, and Dallas's defense, frankly, has been one of the best in the NFL, leading the league with 13 sacks.
Yeah, Jesse, I don't like the Cowboys in this game. I love them. I don't understand the line. I don't understand why the Cowboys are getting so many points. Have people watched these two teams play recently? I mean, the Rams' offensive line is beat up and not playing well, which is not good when you're going against DeMarcus Lawrence and, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the league in Micah Parsons. They'll be all over Matthew Stafford all game. Plus, Cooper Rush, as you referenced, has been very solid. I mean, he's 4-0 as a starter with the Cowboys. He's won the last 3 games. He doesn't make the critical errors. He makes the plays that are there. I would even look maybe at the Cowboys on the money line, but take the points. Even if they lose, it feels like it'd be by a field goal or something really close.
All right, Ross, Sunday Night Football featuring a good old-fashioned NFC North showdown between the Bengals and Ravens. Now, you are calling this one on the radio, man. You are going to be there. There's a 3-way tie atop the division with these two teams in Cleveland, all sitting at 2-2. So it's going to be a good one. The Ravens are favored at 3.5. But, how pivotal is this game when it comes to getting the upper hand in the race for a division title? And who do you think is coming out on top?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge because of the fact that I think these are the 2 best teams in the AFC North. Obviously, I know the Browns are 2-2 as well, but with Jacoby Brissett playing for a while, I don't think that they'll be able to sustain and stay with the Ravens and the Bengals. So whoever wins this game is in the driver's seat. And really, these 2 teams have legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, and they should. The Bengals went last year. The Ravens have been one of the best teams in the NFL over the last couple of years. I think it's going to be an awesome, close game. I like the Bengals getting the points, though. 3.5 points. The Bengals swept the Ravens last year. They threw the ball all over them. I feel like it's a toss-up game. Anytime you're getting that many points against a team like the Ravens in a toss-up game, I'm taking them. Give me the Bengals and the points. Probably think the Ravens squeak out a close win, but I'll take the Bengals and the points.
All right, what other Week 5 games interest you from a betting perspective, Ross?
Well, speaking of AFC North, I like Cleveland. Getting the points at home against the Chargers. You know, this is the type of game that the Chargers lose, right? They look good against Houston, but now they have to play a Browns team that's just going to run the ball down their throat. They get Myles Garrett back. Remember, Rashawn Slater, the left tackle Pro Bowler for the Chargers, is done for the year. So they got a rookie, Jamari Sawyer, trying to block Myles Garrett. Good luck. Really like the Brownies in the points today.
All right, thank you, Ross. Love getting your takes on the Sunday slate. And all of you watching at home, please stay tuned because up next, Julian, Steve, and Josh are back to hand out their favorite Sunday special bets as the Sweat presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook continues. Welcome back to the Sweat presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. We've already got our game across the pond underway. Packers lead the Giants 20-13 in the third. Here's some betting trends for this one. 85% of the handle and bets are on the Green Bay money line. Not surprising. And around the league for the Dolphins-Jets game, 80% of the handles on the Dolphins, -3, just 60% of the bets. Dolphins 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games against the Jets in New York. For Tennessee-Washington, 84% of the bets are on the Titans -1.5, just 64% of the handle. Titans 2-2 against the spread, while the Commanders are 1-3. Seattle-New Orleans, 87% of the handles on the over, with the total now sitting at 45. Maybe because the Seahawks were able to score a whopping 48 points versus the Lions in Week 4. Okay, a little recency bias. All right, Steve, Julian, and VSiN's Josh Applebaum are back to share their Sunday specials, favorite parlays, promos, fun bets that you can find on the DK Sportsbook. So, Julian, start us off.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it safe here. This prop is only +140, but it is either starting running back in the, as Steve rolls his eyes over here, either running back in the Detroit-New England game to rush for 100-plus yards, Damian Harris or Jamal Williams. We saw Williams with no DeAndre Swift in that starting role do really well in that game. That was a shootout against Seattle. We'll see if he can do that again against New England. But with Bailey Zappi getting his first NFL start at home against a really bad Detroit defense that's giving up over 35 per game, Damian Harris, whose prop is right there in the low 60s, I think he has a really good shot to go over this number because they are going to hand the ball off a lot against this Detroit defense. I think one of them gets there one way or another.
All right, Steve, as Julian said, we saw you rolling your eyes.
I mean, it's a very safe play,
Okay.
right? It doesn't get the juices flowing.
All right.
Does that mean that it's not going to
Swing for the fences,
Yeah, of
Steve.
course.
Yours get the juices flowing, Steve.
You know, we're going to swing for the fences like the Seattle Mariners did yesterday against
This
the
is
Blue
a football
Jays.
show, Steve.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It goes the same. But we're going to take Cooper Kupp and CD Lamb combined 20 receptions. You're getting that at +800. I mean, we're talking about 2 receivers averaging over 10 targets per game. Obviously, Cooper Kupp is the exception here, just under 14 per game. But the Cowboys could struggle to run the ball in this game, leading to more passing in this one here. Obviously, CD Lamb is going to be the one that they're going to be targeting. He is going to be playing in this one. It's coming into this one as questionable. But we've seen Cooper Kupp already go over double-digit receptions in 3 of the 4 games that he's played. Just had 14 in that last game. I can't say he's going to have 14 in this one here, but But anything over double digits for Kupp, I think CeeDee Lamb can make up the difference here to get to the combined 20 receptions in this one. At plus 800, I think it's a nice way to swing for the fences instead of being the, safe Sally over here with Julian.
Ooh. Called out, Julian.
Let's just cash some winners and move on.
All right, Josh, what is your Sunday special?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to the Atlanta Falcons and the Bucs game here today. Going to combine Mariota and Brady together. Can you give me 500 yards or more passing combined yards here? It's plus 275 at the DraftKings site. Brady, I'm expecting a big bounce back. Obviously against the Chiefs, they're favorite. You didn't really play very well. You're off to a slow start. I think Brady gets back on track here going up against the secondary of Atlanta. They give up the eighth most passing yards in the NFL right now. And also, Brady, he's averaging 265 yards a game. But I also think Mariota, some garbage points here. If you're down, 10, 15, maybe you're down big here in the fourth quarter. By the way, the line has moved to Tampa. It's about a 50-50 bet split. But Tampa, just a few days ago, they were laying minus 8.5. You're up to 10 right now. Kind of missed the number if you want to bet Tampa, but that tells me some money moving to Tom Brady here. You also look at Jerome Boger. Kind of a small thing here. I like to look at the refs, Jesse, but he's one of your best over referees historically, 58% to the over. And we have perfect weather here, 85 degrees, not too much in terms of wind. I think Brady's going to get his, and can Mariota get you those garbage yards? I'm banking on 500 or more combined.
God, we love some ref stats. We just love them.
Wait for Scott Foster in the NBA. You're really going to like that.
Yeah. Well, we know those numbers. All right, that is it, everybody. It is time for us to say goodbye to our TV viewers. For Jesse, Julian, Steve, and Josh, thank you so much for tuning in. But we have good news for you guys. We are actually going to keep the party going over on the DraftKings social channels. Yeah, you guys have to stick around, actually. So YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, etc. Come join us over there. We keep the magic going. We talk some DFS, too. It's going to be fun. But if not, we'll see you next weekend on Sunday at 11 a.m. Enjoy the games. Hello and welcome back to The Sweat. I'm Jesse Cofield. We continue to take a look at our Week 5 slate in the NFL. So up until now, we've brought you some of the best bets that you can get on the DK Sportsbook. And we're going to have more Sportsbook talk coming up, obviously, but we can't forget about DFS, right? And what better way to start that discussion than to tell you about this week's Millie Maker contest. Another week, another shot at $1 million thanks to the NFL 3.75 Fantasy Football Millionaire Contest in the DraftKings lobby. Guys, a $20 entry gets you into the mix for a contest with $3.75 million in total prizes, including $1 million and a ticket to the Tournament of Champions semifinals for the winner. So get those lineups in now. And to help you do just that, let's bring in DraftKings contributors Steve Buchanan. He is right here with me. We also have Jeff Ulrich. He is here via Zoom. Guys, Week 5 price check. Favorite plays at each position. Got to get your takes because the people at home are trying to fill out their lineups. So for quarterback, where are you going, Jeff? You like Justin Fields here?
What?
I kind of do. Yeah. I mean, let's start off hot.
Gross.
Let's save some cash. We'll let Steve go shopping later. I know Steve likes to spend up, so I gotta save the people some money somehow. But look, Fields threw for 285 yards against the Vikings last year. Minnesota secondary has been really masked by some weak matchups. They're bottom 5 in yards per pass attempt against. They got destroyed, absolutely demolished by a mobile quarterback in Jalen Hurts in week 3. He rushed for 57 yards against them, put up 2 touchdowns. They allowed 8.4 yards per attempt to Andy Dalton last week and a 71% completion rate. I think Fields has a really good day here. I think he hits his season best in terms of yards, has a really good rushing day too, and I think the Bears keep this close. Give me Justin Fields at 5,300.
All right, Steve, who's your pick for quarterback? I know you're not going all the way down to Justin Fields at 5,300.
No, I will not be going to Justin Fields with that one here. I'm just going to go right to Tom Brady at 6K, 29.4 DraftKings fantasy points performance. Last week wasn't baked into the price for this week, coming off a game where he had 39 completions for 385 yards, 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs. Now he's facing whatever you want to call this Atlanta Falcons secondary, whatever they have going out there, allowing over 20 DraftKings fantasy points per game to the quarterbacks. Brady basically has essentially his offense all healthy for this game. Evans, Godwin coming into this one. We'll see the status on Julio Jones and all that, but they're pretty much healthy and ready to go. I think this is a great blow-up spot for Brady. Only at 6K. This should be probably about $300, $400 higher if we did take into account what he did in the short week here against the Chiefs. So give me him at a discounted 6K price.
All right, Jeff, you're not going for a discount pick for running backs. You're taking Nick Chubb. He just had his third 100-plus yard performance through 4 weeks, so tell us why you like him.
Yeah, look, I mean, saving money at quarterback, obviously, but we're going to pay up at running back. I do not understand why Nick Chubb isn't all over people's radars this week. He's not even projecting as that high an owned player. Chargers are terrible against the run. They're second worst in yards per carry against. Nick Chubb has arguably been the best rusher in the league, 5.7 yards per carry, 114 yards rushing per game. He's 8K flat. The Chargers allowed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Robinson, Dameon Pierce, all these guys to average like over 5.5 yards against them in their last 3 matchups. Nick Chubb is going to run right through this Chargers defense. He's going to put up another massive game. People are going to be wondering why he wasn't the highest owned player on the slate.
All right, Steve, which running back are you targeting?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a fairly chalky one here, but Jeff Wilson Jr. in this matchup for the 49ers, his price just does not match the role and the production that he should have here in this game. We obviously saw what he's been doing, at least 12 carries in 3 of the 4 games that he's played so far this season. But I mean, this is a situation where my best bet here is the 49ers. I'm expecting the 49ers to win this game with ease. So if that's the case, Jeff Wilson should be getting plenty of production in this game. The Panthers struggle to defend against the run, so you kind of put all that together. $5,500 is not a starting running back one price for this one here. Can catch out of the backfield too as well. Didn't have a target last week, but at least 2 targets in 3 games prior to that. So Jeff Wilson Jr., $5,500, way too much of a discount here. It's going to be very, very popular today, but especially in cash games, have no issue with taking with that there. So give me Jeff Wilson in this game.
All right, Jeff, for wide receiver, you're going with Gabe Davis. Is that because Jameson Crowder and Isaiah McKenzie are both injured here? You think he could have a big day?
That is 50% of the reason, but you're onto something there, Cofield. We got to read the tea leaves. We've got to read the injury report, people. It's not just the Bills side of the ball, but Gabe Davis is now off the injury report, the ankle issue. Look, he's an explosive player, definitely hampering him, but on the other side, Cameron Sutton banged up, Akilla Witherspoon out. Basically, the entire Steelers secondary is on the injury report this week. Also got Terrell Edmonds out for this game. This could be a disaster. I think Gabe Davis at 6,400, who is not popular at all, probably going to be like 5% owned in the Millie Maker. He has a chance to really take off this week. And look, it could just be the Steph Diggs show again, but with Davis not on the injury report, looking healthier, got in full practices, I think this is where you buy low on him. I think he's going to have a big day against a very, very overrated Steelers secondary.
All right, Steve, where are you going for your wide receiver pick?
And just real quick on that, Isaiah McKenzie was just ruled out for today too as well,
wow.
so it's
There you
obviously
go.
Breaking news.
a nice thing there too. But Tyler Lockett at 5,600 for the Seahawks going here this week, averaging 8.5 targets per game, 75 yards per game. He's due for some positive touchdown regression here. Has a few targets in the red zone, but has yet to score as of yet. But I think this is a great spot for him to really be open too, because we're expecting DK Metcalf to be shadowed by Marshawn Lattimore in this game. Obviously, those two have had a very historic past going back for a few years now. But Geno Smith has really been focusing on Tyler Lockett here. And again, it just doesn't feel like the salary is reflected on the production and the volume that Lockett has been getting in these first few weeks of the season here. So if he's avoiding the matchup here with Marshawn Lattimore, I think this is a great spot for Tyler Lockett at 5,600.
All right, let's talk tight ends here. Jeff, you're going with Dallas Goedert. This dude last game caught 5 of 6 targets, 72 yards in that win over Jacksonville. He's looking like, he's Jalen Hurts, like one of his favorite targets.
Yeah, I mean, like Goddard's been overshadowed obviously by the big play receivers that they've got, but he's averaged four receptions per game. He's averaging 15 yards per reception, which I love. And the Arizona Cardinals are blitzing at an insanely high rate this year, and it's really caused them over 40%. It's really caused them to be terrible at guarding against opposing tight ends. They're second. They've allowed the second most fantasy points to opposing tight ends this year. It's actually flipped what they're doing against tight ends from last season, where they were kind of shut down. I think Goddard could absolutely just post a monster game, though. Even if the target share doesn't get up that much, he's such a good explosive player after the catch. 4,700. This is way too low. I like getting a piece of him. You got to get a piece of the Eagles' offense anyways. I think Goddard's a great tight end target this week.
All right, Steve, which tight end do you want a piece of?
Yeah, I was going right with Goddard here at 4,700. There's no really way to kind of go into this more than Jeff did here, but be getting a ton of volume in this game too as well. And a lot of people are going to be going to A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith in this game against a very poor Cardinals secondary here, but I think people should be also going towards Goddard as well, so give me him at 4,700.
All right, let's talk DSTs. Jeff, you like the Patriots.
I do. This is, I mean, look, what world are we in that we're now scared of rostering defenses against Jared Goff? I don't want to live in that world, Jesse. This is Detroit's first outdoor game of the year. It's a little bit cooler there in New England, as you guys can attest to. Obviously, you know, Detroit, what are they? They're banged up. They're still banged up on offense. They've got DeAndre Swift is out. A bunch of their receivers banged up. I think that the Patriots, who have actually been pretty good at getting pressure of late, if they can just shut down the run even a little bit and just not let Jamal Williams, who isn't really that explosive a back anyways, not beat them, I think this Patriots defense has a great chance to put up a couple turnovers. They've had 2 turnovers in each of their last 3 games. I think the Patriots at 2,900 are a very, very good target for big fields this week.
All right, Steve, I know you're not going with the Patriots.
No, we're going to be going with the cash game play here this week with the Cowboys going up against the Rams. Matt Stafford has just been under pressure so many times this season so far. 32.4% of his dropbacks, he's been under pressure. He's thrown 1 of his 6 interceptions so far. It's actually amazing that 5 of the 6 interceptions have come with a clean bucket from Matthew Stafford. But that being said, the Cowboys have just been so good at getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. We just saw that a couple weeks ago in one of their games there. So I think the Cowboys at 2,500, it's going to be one of the cash game locks you need to use at DST this week. Not a great tournament play, but I think the Cowboys DST gets a lot of pressure on Stafford here this week.
All right, good stuff, guys. Time to get a little bit philosophical here. To bet or not to bet?
Wow.
That is the question. Billy Shakespeare, Jesse Cofield. To answer that question, let's send it over to Julian Edlow and Josh Applebaum. They are talking weekly specials on the DK Sportsbook. Fellas, take it away.
Thank you, Jesse. That was a beautiful rendition that you came up with there. So yeah, to break down the game we're going to play here, we're going to go through some weekly specials, Josh and I, that are available on the DK Sportsbook. We're going to say if we want to bet them or not. Pretty simple game. So let's get to the first one here. And I know that this is one that you already hit on the show, Josh. Week 15 special. We're looking at Marcus Mariota and Tom Brady. 500 plus combined passing yards. And you see the number there, it's at plus 275. You know, not the best Tampa offense so far, although they got going a little bit against Kansas City. Didn't really have a choice getting down so early in that one. And Mariota and that Atlanta passing game, no Kyle Pitts, not that he's been involved too much, going up against a really good Tampa defense. What do you got here?
Yeah, so I took it, you know, in my my early special here, so I guess I got to take it in this one too. But I'll take this one. You know, it's plus 275. I think if we're talking, you know, philosophy, there's 2 ways to approach a lot of these, you know, specials here. Do you want to cash a nice, you know, plus 2,000, 20 to 1? We all do. But I kind of like grinding out these like 275s, 150s, 200s. Obviously, you're going to have less of a payout, but you're going to have more opportunity, or I guess probability-wise, more likely you're going to cash. But I think just from a game theory perspective, kind of broke this one down a little bit earlier. But Tom Brady, you know he's going to be upset after that primetime loss. He's starting to get his mojo going offensively a little bit. And I think this is a game where you can put up a lot of points on this defense of Atlanta. But also, you're counting on both players. You know, we got to get 500 between the two. So can we get 300 or more for Brady? Can we get 200 or more for Mariota? Mariota, to me, I'm banking on those garbage yards. You know, those are really important. If it's prevent defense and you're up by, you know, 14, 21 late, if Mariota can get some, kind of dump off passes, long passes, that's how we're going to cash it. So I will take this one at plus 275.
No Julio Jones as well for Tom Brady in this one. I kind of like the revenge narrative there for him going up against his former team, the Falcons, with Tom Brady throwing him the ball. So maybe that takes away a little bit more from Brady. This is a tough one. You know, it's a spot that the Bucs got to get a win here, coming off 2 losses in a row for Tom Brady. I think Brady's only lost 3 times in a row, once in his career, right? So you got to like the Bucs in this game. I like your point on Mariota getting those garbage time yards, but if the Bucs are up big, what about taking away from Brady's passing yards and getting Leonard Fournette going on the ground? He barely ran it last game. I'm staying away from this one, but one that I will look a little bit more towards. We finally saw Austin Eckler getting into the end zone for the Chargers last week. It took a matchup against the Houston Texans. Now a matchup against the Browns. This was a really high-scoring game. I think the Chargers won at 47-42 last year. So this one plays right into that. 4 rushing or receiving TDs combined for Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's been the best fantasy player, arguably, of the season so far. Definitely the best running back. So 4 combined touchdowns here. I know the Browns are a bet for you. I like the Browns in this game myself, and I think it's going to go along with a lot of Chubb props, whether it's touchdowns, yardage. My question is Eckler getting in there against Cleveland. I like this one. You're getting like twice the payout of the Brady Mariota one, so I would lean to betting this one over that. But go ahead, Josh. Do you like the 4 touchdowns here at plus 450?
So 4 seems a lot, Julian.
It is.
If this was 3, I mean, this is an auto bet. Obviously, your payout would be much smaller here. I'm going to lay off this one. You know, to me, obviously, I am going to be rooting here for the Cleveland Browns there. A play we talked about a little bit earlier. You have heavy betting here on the Chargers. That angle of if you're a dog and you didn't cover and lost the previous week, buying low on those teams has been really, really good this year. So I expect a big game out of Chubb. I think that's your game plan if you're Stefanski. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Chargers also, again, a West Coast team going east. If that can be kind of a detriment to their body clock and their defense, I think that could be a big angle here. So I don't expect a ton from Eckler. Can you get 2 and 2 from each? It's definitely possible here, Julian. But I see this landing maybe 2 or 3. I'll pass this plus 450.
I don't hate a Jets game type of narrative where Chubb got in 3 times and you just need 1 for Eckler. I could see that happening as well. All right. This one blows my mind. Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield are playing today. On DK Sportsbook, you can bet 5+ passing touchdowns at plus 200. Can we get a no option? Because I hate this prop. Give me a no or just bet the unders on their touchdown passes. This is not happening. The Niners, I love the Niners in this game. They're going to win this game. They're going to run all over the Panthers' pathetic defense, and that's how they're going to score. Garoppolo throws 1, maybe 2 touchdown passes in this game. That means we need 3 from this guy, 3 or 4 from this guy, Baker Mayfield, who's leading the NFL's worst offense. They can't move the ball, so all they have to do here is go up against the NFL's best defense, and you need Baker Mayfield to throw 3 touchdown passes. No, absolutely not. DK Sportsbook, put the no up. I want it.
So, Julian, this one's crazy to me because, if you just asked me would this happen, you didn't tell me the odds, I'd say no way. But why is it plus 200? That makes no sense. Shouldn't this be 10-1, 20-1? Seems like it's
they're going to take
impossible.
the 1.5 and 2.5 touchdown passing props and put them together in a parlay, and that's what it is, and that's what the numbers say.
So that
numbers
makes sense.
lie sometimes.
But my angle here, what I'm getting at is it's so fishy, it makes no sense. So you know me, Julian. I got to take this one. It's just the books know something that we don't. Maybe Jimmy G has 3. Maybe you have Baker, a couple here that can get you this number. To me, it's just when you have a theory in your brain and it doesn't match up with what the odds are telling you, I'm going to lean on that fishy line, take that fishy line. So why is it only plus 200? I'll grab it. And by the way, Julian, I really like your money line parlay, that minus 6.5 with San Fran. They open at like 3.5 at some shops, all the way to 6.5. Take them down to a half point, just win the game. I like that angle as well.
All right, final one here. Steve went to it in his special earlier in the show if you were watching. Plus 800 on 20 combined receptions, 20 or more, for the stud receivers in this Rams and Cowboys game. That would be Cooper Kupp and CeeDee Lamb. We saw the Rams looked awful on Monday Night Football against the aforementioned 49ers defense that has been so good. But what did Cooper Kupp do? He brought in 14 of 19 targets. If Cooper Kupp catches 14 balls, you now have plus 800 on over 5.5 receptions for CeeDee Lamb, which you can very much interest me in. I don't mind this one. This one for the price, I think, is well worth it. So maybe you're going to tell me now this is too high for a reason, and this is one you got to stay away from.
So theoretically, but I'm feeling juicy, Julian. I'll take a shot here.
8-1 is too good to feel that way
To
about.
me, this is a pizza money bet. $5, $10, see if it happens. Cooper Kupp's been unbelievable. By the way, I think going into the year, his over-under catches was maybe less than 100. I think that was a really bettable number early on to go over Cooper Kupp. It didn't make much sense to me here. But again, can you get 14, 15? If you can get that number, theoretically, it's impossible. But this guy seems to get it for you every week. I think this is a playable number at plus 800. I'll just mention one thing. I love dogs. I love betting on dogs in the NFL. But I'd be wary of the Cowboys a little bit because this game actually opened like -6, -7 at the look ahead. Got all the way down to -4.5 Rams. And even though the public is all over Dallas, I think like 70% bets, the Rams got hit -4.5 back up now to -5.5. So it looks like there was some kind of fade the trendy dog money with the Rams. It seems fishy, doesn't make sense. Take the points, but I'd be wary. I think the number there was 4.5 if you could find the Rams.
Yeah, sharp money did come in on the Rams in this game. I can't do it. That Dallas defense going up against an offensive line that cannot protect Matt Stafford. But all right, that is to bet or not to bet. We will send it back to somebody who is just oh so great with words at the desk. This is Jesse Cofield.
Oh my God, me? You guys,
You.
stop. All right, good stuff. Hang tight. Coming up next, Jeff Ulrich is going to return to give us his primetime picks, including tonight's Bengals-Ravens showdown. But first, Emerson Latzia caught up with Mike Golick to talk about said game. So check out his Sunday night picks.
So, Mike, how about this? Joe Mixon called a meeting with the offensive line with hopes of really trying to improve this run game. But should that really be their focus? Because Joe Burrow, the offensive line has done a much better job keeping Joe Burrow on his feet the last two games, which have both been wins.
So they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
The better your running game is, the better your passing can be because you can run play action.
Okay.
So if all of a sudden if Mixon becomes a threat in the running game, which unfortunately that really hasn't happened, now, does that D-line have to wait a beat? Does that linebacker crew, what you're looking at, do they step up in honoring the run, which now means over the top is going to be open on play action passes? So they absolutely work hand in hand. I mean, Burrow was getting the snot kicked out of him early in the season, and we were all kind of scratching our heads saying, wait, they changed like 4/5 of the line, but it does take a while for a line to gel with new players. So they definitely work hand in hand. They need a running game, much like we saw Kansas City get a running game last week when I did the game in Tampa Bay. That's what Cincinnati needs. And it doesn't have to be tops in the league. It has to be a running game that the other team has to respect and play. That way play action can work.
Yeah, 13 sacks allowed the first two games, both losses. And then since then, 3 sacks allowed in 2 games, both those games being wins. Next thing you know, they're back at 500, Mike. And also Ravens sitting at 500. So they've only trailed this season a total of 14 seconds here. But what are the chances those two losses end up coming back to haunt them?
Well, I don't think they will because I don't see anybody in that division running away with it, right?
Okay.
I think Pittsburgh's going to be last in that division. Cleveland is fighting, with a backup quarterback until week 11 when they get Deshaun Watson back. And both these teams, Cincinnati and Baltimore, have shown they can be great at times, especially Lamar Jackson, and they can lose games at times. So I don't think any team is going to get far enough away from somebody else to where you're going to be in too big of a hole to come back. So I'm looking forward to this game. Lamar Jackson has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Nothing like being your leading passer, tied for leader in touchdowns, and the leading rusher on your team. And then Mark Andrews is just such a great recipient of so many of his passes. They're just a fun team to watch.
Welcome back to The Sweat. I'm joined now by Jeff Ulrich. Jeff, you're here to give us your DFS and sportsbook plays for this week's primetime games. Let's start with Sunday Night Football. Bengals, Ravens. Who's going to be your captain in this one? I'm seeing Jamar Chase. Now, this is kind of an interesting pick, right? He had 20.3 yards per reception against the Dolphins, but he averaged just 7.5 yards per grab over the previous 2 games. So you're betting on an upward trend here.
Yeah, definitely betting on an upward trend. Look, I mean, Jamar Chase, what has he shown us since he's been in the league? It is a little bit boom or bust, but I mean, I don't think that we need to start thinking about Jamar Chase as just like a check down wide receiver because he's had a couple slow games. This is a Ravens secondary who's allowed the most yards to opposing wide receivers through 4 weeks, 968, 100 more than the second place Rams. And we just have to look back last season to what Jamar Chase did to Marcus Peters and the secondary, which has absolutely demolished them. I think when you're looking at this game, there's a few different ways you can look at for captain spot for DFS, but the big play options are really Jamar Chase and Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Jackson gives us a better floor with the rushing upside, but Jamar Chase is cheaper, and the matchup is just too good to pass up here. I think with T. Higgins a little bit banged up, Jamar Chase comes to life, and he puts in the third, destruction of the secondary in the row against the Ravens.
All right, Jeff, your favorite bet for this one is Bengals plus 3.5. Is that because of Joe Burrow? He had a career high 525 passing yards with 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the last meeting against the Ravens.
Yeah, this is when Joe Burrow officially becomes the mayor of Baltimore in this game, Jesse. Plus 3.5. I don't really understand this line, quite frankly. The Bengals are 7-1 ATS since the start of 2021 as home underdogs. You put Joe Burrow in a situation where he's on the road and everyone's doubting him, and he just comes through. I mentioned the Ravens' issues in the secondary. I do not know how they stop Jamar Chase. I don't have an answer. Tyler Boyd is going to be out there as well, even if T. Higgins is banged up. I think that the Ravens just do not deserve to be over 3 points in this spot. I think the line should be closer to 2.5. So the Bengals, like I said, great trend there. They've been great with obviously with Joe Burrow healthy, covering in these spots, and I just don't think that the Ravens are going to have an answer for the passing attack anyway. So 3.5, gladly take that. And last thing, Ravens are a massive publicly bet team right now, going against the public when it's over 70% of the cash, which it is with the Ravens in the spot, has been very popular against the spread.
All right, Jeff, let's move to Monday Night Football, okay? Raiders, Chiefs. You like Devontae Adams in the captain spot, this dude continuing to enjoy his reunion with Derek Carr.
Much like Jamar Chase against the Ravens, let's take Devontae Adams against the Chiefs secondary, who has struggled against like bigger wide receiver ones. 100 yards and a touchdown to Mike Williams, 100 yards and a touchdown, and 2 touchdowns, to Mike Evans last week. I think Devontae Adams continues this trend. Obviously, again, like a little bit of ups and downs here with the Raiders offense, but this is just such a big game for them. I can't see them not having to rely on Devontae Adams in this game. Much like the Ravens and Bengals, we have multiple options here. We can go to Travis Kelce on the other side, but I like the potential with Devontae Adams. If the Raiders offense does keep this close, it's going to be because Devontae Adams is probably just, taking the secondary to school here, taking the team on his back. I think there's just a little bit more potential there. He's also cheaper than Kelce, so that's great. Let's go Devontae Adams, 17-1 as our captain.
Jeff, for your favorite bet, you are also sticking with the Raiders in this one.
Yeah, and I do think that the Raiders' passing attack is going to have some success here. I think that Devontae Adams is going to give this secondary trouble. And what have we seen from KC so far? We've seen that they've allowed, you can call it garbage time, you can call it whatever, catch-up yards, but they allowed Tom Brady to come to life with Mike Evans last week. They allowed Justin Herbert to put up a ton of yards against them late, almost blew that game. But Derek Carr on the alt line, you can go to Derek Carr on the alternative line and get over 299.5. So basically asking for Derek Carr to throw for 300 yards in the spot, but we're getting plus 150 to do it. I like this. I think that Derek Carr, has been fine against for the most part this season. He started off a little bit slow, had that one kind of bad game against the Cardinals, but I think that against the Chiefs secondary here, he's going to get some opportunity, and he's going to get potentially opportunity for that same kind of garbage time that we saw from Brady last week. So plus 150, all things considered. I like this one. I like the fact he's got Devontae Adams to work with. I think at the very least, even if the Raiders don't win this game, they're going to have success through the air.
All right, Jeff, good stuff. We're in the home stretch of this episode of The Sweat, but if you like what you see, you can catch us here on the DraftKings social channels every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I could tell you all about that, but I would prefer to show you.
Coming up in this show, we got Mike Jolick, what the hell?
Wow.
Jeff Ulrich, shut up and let me tease the damn show.
This week on The Sweat.
Week 4 around the NFL, 49ers 2-point home favorite currently here, Jules.
Got some dog action back there.
Yeah, a lot of dogs.
Yeah, I will not be going with the dog in this game. I will be going with the favorite in the 49ers. You see what I did there?
There are a lot of people who are getting a little annoyed, running out of patience here, waiting for Aaron Judge to hit this 60 CMB.
I don't think he does it. I don't think he does it. I don't even. I said that
Said it
a
lot.
week ago.
We had a fan on the field during Monday Night Football this week.
He should have to fight the mascot. That should be what this is. Trial by combat with the mascot.
Big Mike Golick of the Golick and Smetty podcast. We meet again. By the way, congratulations on your former team in the Eagles beating America's team, my Jacksonville Jaguars, last week.
America's team, I love it. They are playing well, though.
Get ready for this show to go right off the rails. Weddle Wednesday, something new we're going to try here. Just give me a player.
Nick Foles.
Oh my God, what are you doing? You're nothing. You are not close in any area whatsoever. Your long national nightmare is over. No more Aaron Judge cut-ins. What is your number one takeaway here from Judge's pursuit of 62?
They were trying to shove this record down our throat.
Yep.
It's the American League record.
How are we feeling this morning after clinching the first playoff berth in, the last 11 years for the Phillies, dude? The party was on, man.
Oh, man, what a night.
How happy do you feel for Phillies fans right now, man? In the playoffs now for the first time in more than a decade.
I guess I didn't appreciate how long it's been. 2011's a long time. Think back to 2011 Emerson. What would you tell him?
Stop drinking Jaeger.
Okay, yeah, yeah. That's
And
good advice.
avoid the Taco Bell drive-through. I was still stuck in a little bit of college Emerson mode.
Okay,
then.
got
If
it,
you've seen
got it,
him,
got it,
he's
got it.
bigger than like Albert Pujols and.
I actually I
Schwarber.
saw him recently and I was floored.
He
I
will
didn't-
eat you.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Who's a superstar that will be dealt in season this year?
Ooh-wee.
I mean, if you don't want to go name, you could just tell me like yes or no.
Patrick Kane.
You feel like stacking? Don't worry, we have a man here for that. Steve's Spicy Stack. You're gonna do it all while you eat buffalo wings.
Talking while trying to do this on television is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with Matt Ryan.
Wait.
Right?
Ooh. Matt Ryan, he has one game of 20-plus points scored this season. Oh, God.
Please end the segment. I'm done. Let's try to make her laugh.
Welcome back to The Sweat, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Jesse Cofield. We are wrapping up this week's episode with our analysts' hottest takes of the week for the Week 5 slate. Josh, Steve, Julian, take it away. Steve, start us off. Come on.
Okay, we always like to do this hot take segment. That's how we end the show here. You know, we're gonna get you with some hot takes here before you place your bets, base your lineups. We're gonna go right down the line here. We're gonna start with Josh. Get your hot take here. for
Hottest
Week
take
5.
of the day, the Commanders are going to win. They're going to beat the Tennessee Titans today. Now, if you ask me, are they going to win this game just from a, eye standpoint? Obviously not. They're struggling this year. They've lost 3 straight. They're 0-3 ATS. The Titans, by the way, quick to dismiss them against the Bills when they got rolled in that primetime game. They've now won 2 straight. Vrabel's got them playing much better here. But why on earth did we look a couple days ago when you saw the Titans laying 3 and they're getting 84% of bets, the most lopsided play of the weekend? This is the most popular public play in general. But yet, they open -3. Guys, this game is down to a pick'em. Something's going on with the Commanders. Tells me a lot of respected money took Washington here. Kind of the ultimate buy low, sell high. It looks like it's a gross, disgusting play, and it probably will be. But I got to go with this sharp move. Maybe it's Billy Walters. Who knows what's going on here. But there's a lot of smart money Commanders. I'm betting on them to win today.
Logan Thomas also ruled out for the Commanders there, so loss of a weapon there. Julius, what do you got for this week?
All right, I will take your pick'em and I will raise you 14, Josh. Just find the biggest dog on the board and pick 'em. Steelers in Buffalo. Get this one. Why? I don't know. Because it's a down spot for the Bills, I guess.
Good analysis.
They just went into, yeah, it is good analysis. That's how you pick hot takes. You just
You're
pull
right.
something out of a hat.
You're right.
All right, Bills go to Baltimore. They're losing. They're down big. They come back. They win the game. They have Kansas City next week. They're focused on that. The redeem game after that AFC playoff game. You know what they're not focusing on? This Kenny Pickett kid that they have no film on and the Pittsburgh Steelers in between.
Right.
Watch out for the Steelers today. In all honesty, give me the 14. But yeah, let's hope they win.
14 for the biggest underdogs on the board here. I'm
Yes.
going to go with Travis Kelce in tonight's game against the
It's
Raiders.
tomorrow night's game, but that's okay.
Tomorrow night's game. It's all the same. It's
Sure.
a weekend, long weekend. It's whatever. No one cares.
Okay.
Travis Kelce going over 100 receiving yards against the Raiders. I actually found out in my research that's
Whoa.
actually what he averages against the Raiders.
So then it's not even a hot take.
I know it's
We
kind
got a
of
pick'em game. We got a
Right.
guy going for his average. I'll take the 14-point dog.
You got the Carolina
One hot
Reaper.
take,
He's
2
got the
mild
Carolina
takes.
Reaper. But over 100 receiving yards in the 8 games he's played against the Raiders. 8 catches, 101 receiving yards for Travis Kelce. But you know what? It's still hard to get over 100 receiving yards.
Segment's called Hot Takes, and you guys are in here giving me league averages and pick'em games. Get
Well,
Jesse.
Jules, plus 650 on the money line. What do you think if Pickett can win the game?
That's my take.
Let's do
Steelers
it.
win.
What?
Hot take.
That,
I'll
I
take
thought
the
you wanted
14.
the points.
I do want the points, but I'm picking them to win now. Somebody's got to have a hot take. Maybe Jesse can help us out and have a hot take.
I think the biggest hot take is I like Jessie in that sports jacket. Let's get it back to her.
Oh my
Oh, wow,
God,
Steve.
who is she in that sports jacket? It's
she's
me,
married.
Jesse Cofield. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our Week 5 edition of The Sweat. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, you can watch us every weekday here at 11 a.m. Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. Make sure you tune in. We talk all sports, not just football. If not, we'll also be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. But come on, join us tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.